Hey, Coach, how's it going?
I'm good, John. How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. So I was wondering if you could help clarify something for me. I don't claim to be an expert on CBA or salary cap. So with that in mind, if you are going to maintain Maria Vadiva's rights, does she have to be on your 12 opening roster, or do you have some sort of leeway there if you still want her to be available to play after the Olympic break?
Yes, if we and right now that is part of our plan at the moment. We'll continue to discuss things over the next couple of days, but her yes, her salary cap would count as part of our salary cap calculations, space, etc. And she would be one of the 12 players we'd have on our roster, and then she'd report, closer to Olympic break or right after, and then we'd pick up from there. There we would have, depending on what other decisions we make, if Masha's still part of our 12, we'd have a couple of dates in June where we'd have enough cap space to sign a player to, 7 or 10-day contracts, and, kind of, if we need some support to get through, we'd have enough cap space to do some of those things at later dates. But if we want her to be available to play this season, yes, her salary would count in our overall cap number for 2021.
Brady?
Derek, in the last few days, I've talked with Shanae and Brittany about the team's readiness on defense going into the season opener, and they both expressed a ton of confidence that you can come out of the gates as an elite defensive team. How are you feeling from a team defense standpoint? That's obviously kind of been your calling card for a little while now. How ready do you feel the team is to be a very strong defensive team from game one?
No, I think they're both, right from a personnel standpoint. I do believe we're, already positioned to be, really good on the defensive end right from day one. I think once we, make some decisions and decide what that 12-player roster looks like, it'll contribute to what additional versatility you do or don't have. But we have all of the components that you need, I think, to be an elite defensive team. And, we have a lot to work on, and saying that, like, we definitely won't be at our best on Friday night, but we do have enough to be really good right away, and then hopefully position ourselves to improve as the season goes on, and be able to not just, start out maybe good, but also to be really elite and consistent as an elite defensive team for the entire season.
One question in the chat from Rafiq Lusin. What is the importance of winning a season opener as a player and coach?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Like, I think in particular when, like, fans are involved, I think you always want to, try and win opening night at home. Like, it just feels like it's the right thing to do. People, planned in their day and in their life to come and support the team, and, you want to reward them with a victory. I think in this case this year, because we won't be in that case, you of course, you still just want to go out and play well and win the game. Like, it just feels like that's how you want to start the season. But, it doesn't always happen that way. There have been, in my experience, teams that have won the championship the year before, and, you lose opening night, which is ring night, and, you just lose the first game of that next season. But there's, 31 games to go. So you just can't read too much into it. But, you know, I think being an elite team starts with being really, really good at home. And so, you know, our first chance to establish that type of, you know, dominance at home is on Friday, and hopefully we can figure it out.
Chris Camello.
Thank you, Eli. Derek, how are you today?
Good, Chris. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. I just wanted to ask you, you know, you kind of commented like there are some things to work on. Are there any outstanding concerns that you have heading into Friday? Just like, oh man, I hope this doesn't get, you know, become a problem as the season goes on, or is it just going to be one of those things where it's like we need to see a few games before we start addressing any potential concerns? Just what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I think probably a combination of those things. You know, I think there are definitely some things that if, you know, whether it's from the 2 scrimmage preseason type games or things that we've seen in practice, you know, if you start to see those things right away, you know, these next 3 Friday nights, you know, consistently happening every time, you know, then that is definitely cause for concern. But I do think, you know, our team specifically is going to have to give ourselves some time to see what it all means. You know, this is our first time, you know, being in a situation where so many of our players, you know, could be players that were part of the plan or weren't part of the plan when training camp started. And so we get our 12 players set, like, you know, you'll end up having certain strengths and weaknesses based on the players that you have on your roster. And so, you know, once we start playing games, we'll get a chance to see, you know, how some of those things were, you know, helped us or didn't. So, you know, I just think all of that to say, yeah, we want to be really good at some things right away, but it's definitely going to take us some time to figure out what those things are. Like, what can we be elite at on the defensive end? You can't be the #1 team at everything in the world defensively, but, you know, what are those things we're going to be really, really, really good at on that end? You know, we'll start to find out some of that on Friday.
Thanks. I only see one more hand. John, did you have one more?
Yeah, I had another one. Has Arella been able to practice yet? What have you seen from her, if she has?
Yeah, no, Arella's been able to practice, full practice today, yesterday. You know, quite a bit of stuff, but you know, still making sure we were respecting some of the observation period that the league wanted us to, you know, to follow in terms of protocols. But yeah, she's a really talented player. She does a lot of good things on the court. And I think most importantly, like, she's really just come into our group and, you know, and fit in as best you can, right, under the circumstances. You know, so she just deserves a lot of credit for, you know, coming in and trying to pick up everything that we were throwing down over the last, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 days since she's been around, but the last couple of days kind of being more on the court. And, you know, she held her own. So, you know, she definitely is going to be a part of the conversation in terms of, you know, what type of team we want to put together. And I think the thing that we all have to keep in mind is, you know, it's not just about 2021, right? Like, when you're putting together a team, you know, and a level of consistency in terms of your organization, the culture, you know, the environment that you want to create and exist in, it's not only about what a player can do for you today, but, you know, what she'll be able to possibly do for you tomorrow, next week, you know, next month, next year, maybe. So yes, you do have to think about this season and what the goals and objectives are this year. But, you know, especially with the new CBA, you really have to think about how do you put your roster together in a way that allows you to be competitive over the years. you know, making sure you maintain a certain level of flexibility in your roster, but also have the type of players that allow you to be successful. So, yeah, a lot to think about, but I thought Arella did the best job that anybody could possibly do under the circumstances. She definitely did not fall on her face when she was on the court. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes over the next couple of days.
Last question. This one's actually just for LASparks.com. A lot of players said this is one of the most competitive, enjoyable training camps, just kind of being the last day. If you don't mind just kind of summarizing 2021 LA Sparks training camp.
Yeah, it was tough to like have it come to an end in a sense. Like we, you know, players don't necessarily love to practice for, you know, 3 hours or 4 hours a day. And, you know, we don't really like run them in the ground for 3 or 4 hours, but, you know, we're in here for, you know, for a good first half of the day. I mean, players are arriving as early as 7 and 7:30 for COVID testing. And a lot of the pre-practice and performance, you know, things from a strength and conditioning standpoint that we've added in. And then we get to court work. So it was tough to see it come to a close today. Like I think we all literally were having fun, really competing with one another and for one another. You know, coaches pushing to make the team better, players pushing to make the team better, but it all still feeling like a team and one group and one family. And that was really special. So regardless of what the decisions are the next couple of days, like, I think for many of us, it felt like this is what training camp is supposed to be. Like anybody that has been here for these 10 practices and these, you know, however many days since April 25th, when you take out, you know, some off days and a couple, you know, preseason games, this is what it's supposed to feel like. Like you're supposed to complete training camp and feel like it took everything you possibly had in order to get to this point. And now I feel more ready for, you know, what's to come ahead than not. And yeah, I think, you know, we'll always remember this group because of how special it was. And I think this group of, you know, 14, which became 15 players, you know, a few days ago, you know, they'll be responsible for pushing the Sparks forward. Because we've set a pretty high bar for what training camp is supposed to feel like. And now we know what we have to live up to every time we come in for training camp. So it'll be tough, but we're all better for it.